The Blues ready to retain the trophy.
Give it straight to Foden, into the area he goes, stays on his feet. Phil Foden for Manchester City. Oh, that's glorious!
Jenny, driven across, waiting for a Thomas Magno, and there it is! We'll go for goal! Melbourne City! It is their time!
Man who played it inside to Pippin, and now! What a colossal! Sergio Aguero!
De Bruyne will take the free kick. And it's turned in by Aymeric Laporte. At last, City have their goal. 4 trophies in a row. 8 times they've won the trophy. Could they be on their way to a treble?
Tor Aronson crossing into the middle of Castellanos who scores! New York City, 109th minute!
Melbourne City are champions for the first time!
City won 14 in a row in all competitions.
A season that we'll never forget. And City have their hands on the trophy again.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome along to Trophy Talk, a very special session supported by Webex and our friends at Cisco. I'm Toby Craig, Director of Corporate Affairs at City Football Group, and I'm joining you live from New York City FC's Manhattan office. Here in New York, we're on the eve of NYCFC's home opener at Yankee Stadium as the boys in blue look to defend their inaugural Major League Soccer Championship. And today we're here to talk about trophies. I'm delighted to be joined by a stellar panel from all corners of the world, along with some hard-won accessories that we'll be seeing in a moment. We have a fantastic lineup today to give you, for the first time ever, a unique insight into the past 12 months across City Football Group. As of today, City Football Group are the English Premier League champions with Manchester City, the MLS title holders with New York City FC, the A-League champions with Melbourne City FC, and of course the ISL champions with Mumbai City. And as if that wasn't enough, just last weekend, Manchester City women added the Continental Cup to this growing collection of silverware. So, to take you through all of this, we have City Football Group and Manchester City Chief Executive Ferran Soriano joining us from Manchester. From our global football team, Matt Ray, our Head of Football Services Delivery, and of course, we have representatives from all our winning clubs. As the sun rises here in New York, we're joined by Sporting Director David Lee. We have Kandak Chandra, CEO of Mumbai City, and from Melbourne, where the sun has very much set, welcome to Mumbai City CEO Brad Rouse. Like me, I'm sure you can't wait to hear from them. We're going to start this morning with a view from the top. Good morning to Ferran in Manchester.
Good morning.
Ferran, we've seen the trophies. Today we're going to hear some of the stories behind the success. But first, when you joined Manchester City and flew to New York to meet Major League Soccer about acquiring a franchise here in New York, did you believe that in less than 10 years we'd be here with so many titles to our name?
Well, certainly not, right? So I think we have worked very hard, and also we have had the privilege of winning these trophies. But specifically, when you think about New York City, when our first trip to New York was in September 2012, and obviously at that time this was just an idea. There was no club, no players, no badge, no brand, nothing, no fans, nothing. So to see this football club being born from nothing and becoming a club that New Yorkers embrace, that New Yorkers believe represent themselves, and that the New Yorkers enjoy going to the games and watching the games on TV. And then finally seeing this club winning the league is just a dream. Nobody could have imagined that at the time. We're proud. We're proud of having created this club, of unleashing the power of soccer in New York, because soccer was already in New York and it needed a club to flourish. And then, of course, winning, it's a symbol. It's a symbol that says we've made a good part of the journey and we are in New York to stay.
Tell us a bit about the vision behind City Football Group. What's been your thought process as the group has grown and developed over the years?
So I think the starting point is pretty obvious. We thought that there was an opportunity to create, I call it the first multinational of football, which is no different from other industries and other walks of life, but it hadn't been done before. If you think you have certain know-how on how to do things, and in this case is playing football and playing what we call beautiful football, so the natural thing to do is to expand. And traditionally, big football clubs expanded themselves by going to play friendly games in different countries. We took a bolder stance, and we thought that growing globally would mean establishing ourselves in different countries, root ourselves in those countries, and try to develop these football clubs and try to develop athletes, try to play the one we want to play, the way we want to play, but do it locally. It's a sort of a formula that has been applied before in other sectors, trying to be global and local. And we are, because we have one big club, Manchester City, that is a truly global brand with 400 million people following Manchester City across the globe. But we also have local clubs that are very well rooted in their cities. So ultimately, if you are a football fan, let's say in Melbourne, we offer you two opportunities to enjoy football. One is Manchester City. You could follow Manchester City in the Premier League and in the Champions League, but you can also follow your club, the club of your city, every weekend live. That's the proposition. When we started in 2012, it was just an idea. Today we have 11 clubs in 11 different countries in 4 continents. So we've done quite a lot, but we see this as the beginning. We want to continue to grow, and we will be present in more countries.
Ferran, as you've said, it all started in Manchester and Manchester City, and over your shoulder we can see the Premier League trophy, which we're delighted still to be the holders of. So let's start with Manchester City. Pep Guardiola described last season as a season like no other. Tell us a bit about the qualities which you think helped City to win last season.
At the end, we won because we play good football and we scored goals, and the results were excellent. But behind the results, there is the tactics, our approach to the games. But more than ever last year, it was people. So remember last year, we had to go through COVID. A couple of times we thought it was over, and it wasn't. So we had to play most of the games, almost all the games, without fans. This is challenging. It's challenging for the fans because they cannot watch their teams, but it's also challenging for the team. The team missed the support of the fans. And then overall, everything was more complicated. The tests, the tests that we did every day, the precautions that we were taking, the difficulties in traveling, and people were very tired. When I say people, I mean all of us, including the players. So we had to put an extra effort on supporting each other, on being together. We actually we launched the documentary of our season, and we call it Together, because that was the main challenge and also the main opportunity, being there for one another through tough times for the world, right? And we understand, and football players understand, that they're privileged to do what they like and to be able to do it while other people were unable to work. Others had to work hours and hours in hospitals. So it was tough, and it was tough. It was tougher for some other people, but our players were focused. They stayed together. They support each other, and that is what made us champions.
Nobody exemplifies the type of football City play more than Pep Guardiola. How important has he been, and what is it that separates him from other managers?
Well, obviously, Pep Guardiola is very important for Manchester City and for the group for two reasons. First, because he is a genius in the job that he does, and he has helped the team reach the amazing results in the last year. We are, without a doubt, the most successful English team in the last 5 years, but also in the last 10 years. So what it means is that there was an approach to football, the way we want to play football. We call it beautiful football, where we aim to keep the ball and to be an attacking team, and a certain pillars of the way we understand the game. The pillars were here before Pep came, but Pep took them to the next level. He is the most seen in my life. He's very creative. He never takes a rest. He's always pushing all of us to go to the following level, and that makes him very special. And the numbers show that, right? So he's special because he's taken an approach to football that we already had to the maximum level, to the maximum excellence. And he's an inspiration. He's an inspiration for the other coaches in the group, and he will be an inspiration for CFG the day he leaves. His mark into Manchester City and into this group will be massive and will stay for years.
And of course, now we're at what we call the business end of the season. Manchester City atop the Premier League, into the quarterfinals of the Champions League, into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Be honest with us. Do you enjoy this period of the season, or are you nervous like all the fans?
Well, I think the first thing to say is we never enjoy, never, ever, right? So I would love to be a fan and go to the stadium and enjoy the game and celebrate. That's not what we do. You know, I'm sitting sometime in a stadium, but recently in a game, we were winning 3-1, 5 minutes to the end, and some of my colleagues are extremely nervous. And it's not rational. You should tell them, come on, we're winning 3-1, 5 minutes to the end. What are you worried about? But that is the nature of the game, and that is the nature of what we do. We suffer. We suffer every game, no matter what. However, then we can rationalize it. And so many times when we're suffering or after a game, we would say, look, this is what we wanted, right? So we wanted to be in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. We wanted to be in the month of March fighting for the titles. That is what we work for. So we cannot complain. That is a worse world, which is still be sitting there and suffering, but without opportunities to win. We're lucky, we're fortunate that we're going to suffer, but we having in front of us the opportunity to win trophies.
We've talked a bit about what's happening on the pitch and about Pep. we haven't talked a lot about away from football. How important are City Football Group's owners, investors, and partners in helping to drive success?
They're not important, they're critical. What happens on the pitch is a reflection of what happens off the pitch. We are now a big organization, a multinational one, and we face the same opportunities and challenges of any multinational. We need a lot of communication. And by the way, this is dependent on technology, like the Cisco technology that we are using today, because part of our advantage is in the synergies, in the way we work together, in the way we learn from what happens in Mumbai to be used in Melbourne, and the way to learn about how kids play football in the streets in Montevideo, so that we can apply this in Yokohama. And we depend on our partners like Cisco giving us support, supporting us not only when we win, but when we lose and we are sad, supporting us in making this organization the most modern organization in the world of sport. And it's not that we want to be the most innovative and most modern because we want to look nice. It's because we need it. It's because what we are doing, the creation of this group, has not been done before, ever. So every day we find ourselves in the cutting edge. Every day we find ourselves trying to resolve management problems that have not been resolved before. And for that, we need support from our shareholders and we need support from our partners. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do it.
One last question for now, Ferran. There have been some really magical moments across the group in the past 12 months. I know you've been there for a number of them. If you had to, which one would you pick as being the one you're most proud of?
I have no doubt about this, zero doubt. The moment that is engraved in my mind and will be forever is the final of the MLS in Portland. And I say that because it was difficult, it was magical, but it was difficult too. So as you know, in American sports, there's a tradition that the cup gets given to the winner, but not to the captain of the team, but to the owner of the team. When we were in Portland, I was representing the ownership. So the protocol people told me, in the minute 88 of the game, we're gonna go to the box of the winner. We're gonna take you down to the pitch so that you can receive the trophy. So they came, minute 88, to the box of New York City. It took us 4 minutes to get to the pitch. By the time we got to the pitch, there were 2 minutes to go, and I was sitting there on the pitch. It was raining, cold, windy. It was awful, awful. And I was there with my tie, my suit, getting completely wet, just waiting for a minute to collect the trophy. And the rival team scored. So the referee gave 4 minutes, and they scored in the minute 93 and 50 seconds. And that sensation was I can't describe it. It was the end of the world. You know, one of our key players, Maxi Morales, came to me and he threw his gloves to me. I was responsible for that. I was on the bench. Everybody was devastated. So I had to use all my mental strength, all of it, all that I've learned in football and in life for so many years to say, keep calm, don't say anything, just go back to the box and put your best face, which is what I did. I went to the box and I found David and others completely devastated, and I had to fake it. I had to act like an actor, and I said, "No, guys, don't worry, we will make it. We can make it. It's all okay." It wasn't, but that's what I said. So 30 minutes later, after extra time, I went down again to the same windy, rain, dramatical situation, but that time we won. We won on penalties, and I was able to receive the cup and quickly pass it to the captain because, in European tradition, we're not used to receive the cup. So I really wanted to pass it quickly. And those moments, these 30 minutes, but specifically the moment 93 minutes, 50 seconds, when I was there thinking, we're going to be champions, and they scored, it was a moment that will stay in my memory for life.
That's wonderful, and we're going to be hearing a little bit more about that magic moment from David later on. Fran, thank you so much. We're going to be hearing a bit more from you later, but now we're going to dive a bit more into the football side with Matt Ray. Morning, Matt. Can you start by telling us a bit about your role and how global football fits into the City Football Group structure?
Yes, good morning, Toby. So my role is Head of Football Services Delivery within Global Football. And Global Football is a business unit that sits within City Football Group and acts as a knowledge centre for all football and performance needs for our 11 global clubs. And it's split into 3 divisions, so across talent management, performance services, and data insights. And primarily my role is to sit as a conduit in helping our global clubs plan and utilise the support that comes directly from global football, excuse me, and guide them through the CFG processes, tools, and work with our leaders and practitioners on the ground at the clubs daily to strive for better on-pitch performance, and hopefully we can achieve off-pitch performance too through player transferring.
Now, when you say it quickly, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but supporting 11 football clubs around the world takes some getting your head around. How on earth do you approach that challenge?
It is certainly challenging across different time zones. Having tools like Webex helps massively. We really couldn't operate without the tech support that we receive from our partners, including Cisco. It's a challenge, but it's a fantastic one and a privilege to be able to do every day, having the opportunity to work with such diverse groups and talented people. And to approach it, the first thing you have to acknowledge and recognize is that all of our clubs are very different in terms of the history of them, the stage of development, and the resources that they have available. So this is really important to recognize, because if the expectation is that Sichuan Junu in Chinese second division should be doing the same things as Manchester City, then there really is a misalignment in our approach. However, that doesn't mean we can't support them from making changes and improvements every day so that one day they can become a really well-functioning and sustainable club like a Manchester City, a New York, or a Melbourne City. And so that is our goal. However, in order to approach working with 11 different clubs, you do need a level of consistency and organisation in your approach to them, and also what we expect from each. So do we expect these clubs to win? Do we expect them to have a purpose to develop players? Is it both? Ideally, we would always like it to be both, but that can be tricky in elite sport. But when we establish that objective, we can then help to devise a strategy of how we will go achieving that. So you need to have the objective defined. And also, and Ferran referred to this as well, we have some non-negotiables at CFG, which is primarily supported around our style of play. So what a CFG team is, how it plays football, and what we want to see on the pitch as well. This game style was devised many years ago in Manchester, but lives today most clearly through Pep's teams and what we see in Manchester. And we mandate about how that game should be played and support its implementation across our cohort of coaches. Therefore, we have a golden thread running through our teams. So whether you're watching Man City here at the Etihad or Montevideo's academy, you will see the same style of football from each. But yeah, more practically, working with 11 clubs, you do have to utilize the great relationships that we have, the technology, as I've said, such as Webex, and having a really good understanding of each market that we work in to enable us to work and maximize what we do.
You've talked a little bit about the technical elements which we might expect to see in a CFG team and also the golden thread, but tell us a little bit more about that, how important is instilling that philosophy at an early age?
It is important. It's the most difficult way to teach football. I call it teaching because that's what we're doing with young people. But we also think it's the best way to win in football matches as well. And we refer to beautiful football, and that's what we call it because it is a very attractive style of football that we play. At an early age, there is obviously many things that happen, factors in young people's lives. So having access to a good football education at an early age is critical in enabling them to go on to have a professional career, but also we want to develop really well-rounded young people that have experiences across the whole of their youth and their childhoods, and enjoy the game that we play. So it's the best way to teach football from our perspective, but it's also the best education a young player can have and receive. So it's very important, but we also ensure that every player that we have in our academies is well supported in all aspects of their lives, whether that's psychologically, their well-being, and then on the pitch, we hope that they reflect in their later lives that they've received a really thorough football education that will stand them in good stead for the rest of their lives as well.
And one of the elements, of course, of your team's role is to nurture and develop talent. But let's talk for a second about identifying talent. In traditional football clubs, their scouts are looking for players for one team. City Football Group scouts are looking for players for 11 teams. How different is life as a CFG scout?
It's a really good question. The principle behind what we're looking for will remain the same. So as we touched upon, players with high technical level, good tactical understanding and good physicality to be able to play our game style. But I suppose the biggest difference between one club versus 11 is just the scale of what you're looking for. And the markets we need to gain expertise in can be very different. So, for example, rather than just looking for one club, a scout that works for City Football Group based in South America could be looking for a player for New York City, David's team. Could be looking for a player that could suit Mumbai or Yokohama. We may find a player that actually suits all three, or he may just be right for one of our clubs. But having in mind the requirements in each market is very important. It's important for us too, as we don't want to miss out on any of the best players and talent that we can to make our teams improve. But being a global organization, and we have over 60 scouts globally working for us, I suppose the best thing that helps us is the trust that we have in the markets that we work in and operate in, our ability to survey players, and then through those relationships, being able to execute on the deals that we want to do. So it becomes really important. That would apply to one club, however, of course, but however, to have to think about the needs and profiles for our 11 clubs is a unique challenge, but our scouts are doing an excellent job of rising to that challenge.
You've touched on it briefly, but how important is technology to meeting that need and managing those diverse operations and people in so many different countries?
Yeah, I think Ferran touched upon it as well. Technology is critical. We couldn't operate without the range of tech that we use now in City Football Group. But I would say technology and football has been on an upward trajectory for at least the past decade. And I would say I think football is now at the forefront of that development and leading the way. So here at City Football Group, the hardware that we use every day, such as GPS monitors to understand how hard our players are training and playing, and also other advancements around machine learning and AI, are all areas that we're now exploring in more detail and actively using in order to shape and predict what the future of football will look like, and critically, what will be important to player development as well. Just more on, I suppose, the data side of things, we empower our teams and our football leaders globally to be better informed through technology and data, to make more evidence-based and insightful decisions on a daily basis around our coaches, our squad planning, And so to be able to use technology and access the best technology available to us is absolutely critical, and it's having a huge and influential role in making much better and informed decisions for us daily.
Matt, we've seen title-winning teams in Mumbai, Melbourne, New York, also in Yokohama in the past few years, and that's in addition to the trophies in Manchester. Is it possible to compare those achievements, or are they wildly different? What do you see as the common qualities, and what are the differences?
Yeah, so I do feel there are some commonalities. There's obviously some differences, but we saw earlier on some of the videos, a football season is unpredictable, and I suppose in our clubs we do have a good cohort of young players coming through the academy. The academies into our first teams. We develop domestic players who potentially would not have the careers that they would go on to have with us. And through the season, you will experience adversity, drama, such as penalty shootout wins, last-minute wins, such as in Mumbai, and potentially all of our clubs are not favourites every year to win their domestic competitions or trophies. So every single day, having leadership and clear goals and ambitions that give the organisational clarity and responsibilities for everyone, making that objective very, very clear, so everyone understands that they're contributing to achieving that every day is critical. And so I would say having very ambitious but clear leadership alongside well-defined goals, and then a closeness of the group, which takes time to happen and establish, but that will help us and help others in winning and coming through those adverse moments and those challenges that inevitably everyone experiences in elite sport and in elite football for sure.
Matt, thanks so much for joining us. I can't fail but to be impressed by the sheer scale of the operation. So before we dive into the clubs, let's remind ourselves of some of the key moments from the past 12 months.
These moments is what we live for.
1, 2, 3! Atkinson, straight back! Top corner, if you don't mind!
Still going. Bippy! Is that the goal that wins it for Mumbai City?
Alexander Callens, and a breakthrough moment for the boys from the Bronx.
It's Mumbai with their first trophy.
I'm sure for some of you, you're watching that for the first time. It's not the first time I've watched it, and yet every single time I do, the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. What an incredible series of moments, and it's my absolute pleasure now to, for the first time, have our title-winning teams together on screen with the trophies. So welcome along to Dave, to Brad, and to Candy, and let's start with New York, purely because that's exactly where I am, and we're on the eve of our first home game of the new season. Dave, last season was a real roller coaster. It certainly wouldn't have been clear at all times that we were the champions elect. Talk us through where you think the MLS was won last year.
Yeah, I think for me, there's a couple of moments that really stick out during the last season, but one of the most important was preseason. We came into the 2021 season being disappointed with how 2020 ended, losing to Orlando on penalties, and we really started the season off to make sure that we were really setting about a culture that we felt was going to be critical to building resilience, building togetherness, and creating a really strong group. I think we've had really good teams for a number of years in New York, and we needed to figure out how we were going to make that next step and go on and win something. And so I think that was a really important moment for us as a group, and where we felt like we had something special brewing. And then probably the next moment is we had a run, I think, of 9 games where we didn't win. We were outside the playoffs. We were in 8th place with 5 games to go. And we had a really difficult run. And at that point, it was very stressful. It was very difficult. But I think we all felt, if we could come out of that difficult moment, the amount of resiliency and spirit that the group had would shine through. And I think we saw that, so when we go through those moments that Farhan was mentioning there earlier on with the 93 minutes and 50 seconds equalizer in a final, our group had been through difficult moments through the season. That was probably the toughest, but they built that over the season, and we were just in a really, really strong position at that point. And so they were really critical moments for me.
Well, we have some experience with 94th minute goals in Manchester, but usually they're more positive, and thankfully this one ended well. And of course, the final was a real nail biter. We've talked a bit about the experience of watching it on the sidelines, but the atmosphere in Portland was incredible away from home. Last minute equaliser. What did it say about the character of the team that they could come back and win in those circumstances?
Yeah, I think it speaks to what an incredible group of players, coaches, support staff we were able to bring together last year, because dealing with that moment is incredibly tough, as Farhan felt and everybody felt at that moment. It's so easy to be down. You've just lost potentially an opportunity to go and win your first championship, and the group were able to come through that. And I think it's just a real testament to the work that we did throughout the year. I think if you don't build resiliency over a long period, then you get to those moments and you don't know how to deal with it. We dealt with it a few times, and I think Sean as captain, a number of our senior players really were able to rally the group and get us to a point where we were able to then go and win on penalties. So I think the character and spirit in the group was a real hallmark of our success last year.
One of the really special moments sort of following the final, of course, celebrating Tati winning the Golden Boot, which was really special, but also the team rallying around him to bring to life the special celebration and surprise with his mother coming over to see him. How was that?
I think it was actually one of the best things we did the entire season. Honestly, I think it was something that we spent a lot of time, a lot of effort from a lot of people to get Tati's mum here into New York without him knowing, and then to surprise him. And I think it was another one of those unifying moments, really, with everyone's in the locker room. And Tati's a really special story. He had a fantastic season. Can't forget he's identified and brought into the group in Montevideo City, and speaks to the connections that we have across the group that allow us to devise and develop pathways for these types of talents. And so the fact that he's identified, played for Montevideo, and then was able to come to New York and have the kind of trajectory he's had was really, really special. And I think everyone was immensely proud of him in that moment, and I know he was immensely proud of the team too. I think when anybody gets individual awards, it's about a team as well. And I know he was immensely proud of his teammates, and being able to have that moment was really special. It was a really fun moment. One of the best things I've been involved with since I've been here, for sure.
And of course, you've been with MICFC from the outset. How do you think the club's evolved on and off the pitch in your time?
Yeah, so it's unrecognizable, honestly. I think when I started, there was 6 or 7 people in the office in Manhattan on my first day. No badge, no players. So now we're an organization of 120 plus people. We've probably had 70, 80 players through the last 6 or 7 years. Fantastic partners like Cisco and things that we didn't have when we first started. So it really is pretty unrecognizable. And I think the growth and trajectory that we've had has just been really special to witness and watch. And from my chair and from our side, it's really trying to make sure that we have a team that that we put out on the pitch that can represent our fans, represent New Yorkers, and make people proud, and ultimately try to go and win. And being able to do that for the first time last year was really special, and I was just immensely proud of everyone involved on my team that helped those moments come together.
We'll hold on tight to that trophy and can't wait for the home opener at Yankee Stadium tomorrow. And now we're going to cross the other side of the world to Melbourne. And good evening to Brad once again in the A-League. We're currently sitting top of the ladder. Last season, maybe a bit like New York, was finally our moment after a few nearly but not quite. What was the difference last year?
Yeah, Toby, I think all of us on the call here would know that it's about getting those ingredients, all the right ingredients, and happening at the same time. So obviously it's about the right players, the talent, the teamwork and cohesiveness, how that team gel. But then it's the sports science, managing injuries. It's about the interpreting the data and all those aspects. It's about the right coach and the manager to get the best out of their players. It's also the need, to get in the right strategy at the right time against the right opponent. And then you've got the psychology and headspace component, the belief and the confidence. So it's all those elements, and you kind of need them all to happen at the right time. You take one of those away, it becomes very, very difficult to win. And I think the other big difference for us was that we had a real concerted effort the year before to really, I guess, up the ante to the city style way of playing, and you can't learn it overnight. And we had a consistent list of players that were with us for that period of time, and it was probably similar to New York in that last season we were going pretty poorly in the first 5 or 6 rounds, and then it just started to click, and it was a really attractive style of football. It was, and once they started to execute that, the belief rose, and we got better and better and better, and so that was the difference. I think all those elements gelling at the same time.
And of course, what a number of people on the call probably won't know is going into the finals themselves. We had a particular set of challenges because a number of our best players weren't available and were away on international duty. There's a lot you can take out of that. First, how big a difference did it make? But also, what does it say about the strength and depth of the squad?
Yeah, I mean, same as everyone, I think, on the call. Is a really challenging time with COVID, and what COVID did, it meant that the season became really condensed, the fixture became really condensed, and we had to play a lot of games repeatedly, and also some of those other competitions, international competition conflicted with our local domestic competition. We lost some of our best players, and it really was up to our young players to step up, and it was a season, I heard the word before, of adversity, and one of the things that we decided to do, this was a conscious decision, it was a discussion amongst all the playing group and all the support staff, was we need to be better than our competition at resilience. We need to be not a victim. We need to take it on board, almost embrace it, and make the most of it, and back ourselves that we've done the pre-season, we're fitter, we can handle it, we can do it better. And there was a real, I guess, turning point where we decided that was the attitude we'd have. And one of the football support staff came up with a tagline that absolutely resonated for the whole season. It was, okay, if this is what's going to be dished up to us, we feel of poor decisions and we're copying it, lots of travel and all these sorts of things. But he came up with a tagline, anyone, anywhere, anytime, we'll take them. And that was a real moment that every time it was starting to feel it tough, they'd recite that one, and it was a bit of a rally cry, and it helped. We had to play our younger players in those crucial moments when our senior players were on national duties, and they stepped up, and that was probably one of the most pleasing parts. But to your point, Toby, was a good indicator that a lot of our young talent that's come through the academy were given the opportunity, and they took it and performed admirably, beautifully.
What an amazing story to tell. And now moving over to Mumbai, and good afternoon to Candy, and one of the most impressive trophies actually in the collection. Last year, of course, was a special season for winning, but in the group you had the unique challenge of playing the whole season in a bubble, in a bio bubble in Goa. Tell us a bit about that season and what stands out in your memory.
extremely special season, and not just for the success that we've had on the pitch. Special because the hard work the people put in, not just the players, the staff, the support staff, the sacrifices that each one of them made to live and play in a bubble for over 6 months was incredible. The season that we talk about is always going to be special to us because of the historic double that we've got in first time in the history of the club. But when we sort of think about what memories we'll have from this season in a couple of years, I'd actually put down togetherness, the resilience that we've mentioned by other clubs as well, the resilience that the staff showed, the players showed, the family showed, the support that they got back from home is something that we're going to really remember and miss the time that we had together as a family living in a bubble and achieving the success that we did.
And Candy, looking ahead, there's two really exciting things I think to look forward to for Mumbai. First, the Champions League campaign coming up, and second, hopefully next season being back in front of our own fans in Mumbai for the first time in quite a while. How much are you looking forward to those?
We've just come out of a really tough season this year. We've actually had a disappointing end to our current season over the weekend. We played another season in a bubble, and bubble environment stuff anyways. It's challenging, but playing another season in a bubble again for 6 months is even more challenging. Now we need to just regroup, shake off the bubble fatigue for the last 6 months that we've been together in a bubble with so many restrictions. And this time around, we've had a lot of COVID cases in the bubbles as well. Not in our team, but the other teams that we were playing. We now need to sort of focus and concentrate on the Champions League that's coming up, and it's going to be a brilliant opportunity for the club. We are the newest entrant into the group. This is the first time we're going to be playing the Champions League. I think it's a massive learning curve for the club, and we're really looking forward to that.
We can't wait to watch. And now just bringing everyone back together for a few moments. Farhan, coming back to you, of course, there's nothing that you haven't heard before here. I'm always struck by the similarities and differences of working with so many clubs across the world. But every time I hear it, I think of the challenges around connectivity. How challenging have you found it to work with your colleagues across the group and share information across time zones, and especially when travel's been so difficult because of COVID?
It has been a challenge, but I must say that the technology has helped us so much, and you can see it now with this call using the Cisco Webex system. It actually works so well. And at the beginning, people thought we're not going to be able to have the same interactions. Even coaches said, "How am I going to talk to other coaches?" We made it. We made it because technology has allowed us to do it, and it's so important for us. It's so important. I've heard this so many times. We go to. I remember when we went to the U.S. Some of the people in the U.S., not David, were saying, "Ooh, U.S. is very different. The MLS is very different. You can't come here with your European mentality. It's never going to work." I remember having a coach that said, "No, American players they don't enjoy listening to long tactical talks. I can give them 15 minutes, no more." Then we go to whatever other place, and there's a temptation to say, no, things are different here. Don't come with the global thinking because things are different. Guess what? They're not. They are not. Football is football everywhere. And the same logic and the same ways of working that we apply in Montevideo can be applied in Chengdu. Of course, there are cultural differences, but they all disappear when we are on the pitch with the ball. So connectivity is key. Without connectivity, we would not be able to be as successful as we have been. And technology is key for connectivity. So without technology, we would not have been successful either.
Just a final comment, Dave, Brad, and Candy, from you. Obviously, being part of City Football Group, and looking at the screen and counting the trophies, there are lots of special moments. How closely do you find that you and your colleagues are following the other clubs across the group, and how much do you feel a part of this shared success? Dave, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think we follow really, really closely. First thing I do when I wake up in the mornings, open the app and try and find out what the scores were overnight while I was sleeping for all of our clubs, and try and stay as connected to the other sporting directors. We were all, as Ferran said, we're a global game, and sporting director Michael in Melbourne is going through similar challenges as I'm going through, and we try to connect and talk and help each other, because I think that's one of the massive benefits that we have being part of the group, is we can call on expertise, advice, and different thinking from around the world that can really help us all do our jobs. So we pay really close attention, and I'm immensely proud to be part of the group and to be part of being able to deliver trophies and celebrate all these fantastic successes around the world.
Brad, how about in Melbourne?
Yeah, it's actually fantastic. We're in a situation now that in Manchester they produce a report that's live, and using technology you can see how any club has gone literally in the last 24 hours, which matches are about to happen in which parts of the world. So it's absolutely fantastic, particularly as Fran keeps growing the thing with so many clubs. It's hard to keep up. So the snapshot's fantastic, and it's also we obviously have a vast time difference in this part of the world, but all the staff, we every moment we can, we have a screen on in the office to try and watch one of our counterparts in other countries and how they're performing. And it's we get a thrill and joy out of seeing other clubs being successful, and it also hurts us when they're not successful. So no, it's fantastic, but the technology allows us to do that.
And Candy, I guess in the bubble in Goa, everyone was watching a lot of football all the time.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more with what Brad and Dave have said. And considering we're the newest entrants into the group, CFG is a powerhouse of knowledge, and we're just grasping and learning everything we can, living in a bubble and just trying to educate ourselves on global football and share knowledge and understand. So yeah, absolutely, technology's played a big part.
And all that remains for me here from the city that never sleeps to from the group that never seems to sleep is to thank all of our speakers today and our friends at Webex and Cisco for helping to connect us around the world. But most of all, to thank all of you for tuning in. Wherever you are, enjoy the rest of your day or your evening, and we hope to see you at one of our games somewhere in the world very soon. Thanks for joining us.